That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Yeah.
Should I not eat?
I mean,
Alright, I want to eat. Well, it's just like microphone's right there. It's gonna be like.
yeah, it's gonna be a very crunchy podcast if you're eating. Yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
But we can always cut stuff out. Like if you want to get the racism out of your system right now.
I'm good. I ran here. I think that kind of did the trick.
So it's basically you're either like if you're running, you get your racism out.
Yeah. I felt bad. I'm a little late.
Alright, you're good. I'm usually the one that's late, honestly. So this is better. What's up, guys? This is my podcast. Why aren't you more famous? Today, I'm joined by my new friend, Alex Law. What's up, Alex?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
Good. I'm trying not to eat these chips that I got.
Yeah. Like I said, you can eat them. It's just gonna be it's gonna be a crunchy podcast. So I probably wouldn't do it, but
Yeah, I'm not,
but
I can hold off. I didn't think about that.
Would you get salt and vinegar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not normally my go-to. I usually get barbecue, but I was feeling salt and vinegar.
I like salt and vinegar. I'm a big salt and vinegar guy. So yeah, today we're gonna talk about why you're not more famous. We're gonna talk about why your parents aren't divorced. We're gonna talk about anything else. No, we don't have to talk about your parents not being divorced. But yeah, so for the listener, Alex is a great stand-up comedian who I've become friends with recently, and wanted to have him on to talk to him about his life, his journey in comedy, and how he got to where he is today and where he wants to go from there. So when did you start doing stand-up?
2017.
2017. That's the same time I did.
Yeah.
Remember what month?
What was that? July.
I started in January.
Yeah.
And you started in Boston?
Mm-hmm.
And so you grew up in Connecticut?
Yeah, I grew up in Connecticut and Oregon. I've got like a weird mix of places I've lived in. But yeah, those are kind of like the primary two. And
so when did you? So born in Connecticut?
No, born in Georgia.
Okay, let's go through all the places you've lived.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you've lived in a lot of places. So born in Georgia.
Yeah, born in Atlanta, Georgia. Lived there for 3 years.
Just like
And
Kanye.
Yeah, all right. That's the only thing we have in common, I swear. And then moved to Connecticut, lived there for like, I don't know, 10, 11 years. I moved in the middle of 7th grade, and then from Connecticut, I moved to Portland, Oregon. And then half of 7th grade all the way up until end of high school, I was in Portland, Oregon. And then from there, I went to college in Northern Indiana, finished college there 2 years, and then I went 2 years to Kentucky, and then 2 years in Boston, Massachusetts, and then moved to New York. And then was in New York for like 3 to 4 years. Left New York for a year to Chicago. Came back to New York as of last November.
Okay, so you've been around a lot,
Yeah.
and so you started doing stand up in Boston in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like? What was the thing that? Because I feel like there's always like kind of. I'm guessing you were into comedy from like a young age.
Nope,
no,
not at all.
So tell me how you got there.
I didn't even know what stand-up really was outside of like Seinfeld, and like I didn't know how people became stand-ups. I didn't even know what an open mic was, to be perfectly honest. But then I walked past a bar in Boston and I saw like a poster that said open mic, and I like it was like free to participate or whatever. And I think I remember Googling what an open mic was and seeing that there was like poetry and comedy and music open mics, and this was comedy. And so I actually took embarrassingly enough, I took a stand-up class in Boston at Improv Boston. But then I took after one class, I just ended up going to open mics right away. And that's kind of what started for me. But I didn't grow up watching stand-up. I didn't have any favorites or anyone that influenced me. So, which meant that when I went up for the first time, I definitely bombed because I didn't know what a joke sounded like or how to write one even. And to this day, I still don't really know, to be perfectly honest. But yeah,
that's so interesting that. So you were just like, oh, what's an open mic? I guess I'll do one.
Yeah, pretty much. I just moved to Boston. I was pretty bored and just trying to find something new to do. I've always just kind of like done something outside of my work. So like when I was in Kentucky, I hosted a lot of trivia, hung out with my friends, but I think trivia hosting was kind of like the main thing I liked doing, on top of like playing games. But I like when I moved to Boston, I didn't have anything to do outside of work, and so it was like the first thing that I found.
Then what were you doing for work?
I was working for a nonprofit. working in like admissions, doing basically similar to what I do now, which is like hiring people, but I was trying to fill these education programs. And so, yeah, I was just doing that and then chilling. Tried to go to like a Latin dance thing once and found out that wasn't for me. And so, yeah, pivoted to comedy.
And so how old are you? You're like 23 at this point?
25.
25?
2017. No, wait, 2017. Yeah, I'm 23.
23,
right?
yeah. So what did you think you wanted to do? Like what did you go to college for?
I went to college for political science. I don't know. I only applied for 2 jobs when I was a senior in college. And one of them was to work for the CIA as an analyst, I thought. But then when they interviewed me, it was for like to be a spy, basically.
Really?
And then the other job was to be a teacher in Kentucky.
And you went with that one?
Well, that's the one that took me.
That's the one. So you didn't. Do you think if you had gotten the job to be a spy for the CIA, would you have taken it?
Probably.
Wow.
I know. I like studied Spanish and Portuguese. I was really into languages, and like I lived abroad a few times, like when I was in college, and so I was really into the idea of that. But I'm glad it didn't work out that way.
That's crazy, dude. I mean, I guess you wouldn't be sitting here right now if you had become a spy. That'd be funny to imagine if you were a spy and then become a comic, because I feel like you legally wouldn't be able to talk about any of your spy shit.
Yeah. You can after, I think I read you can after like a certain amount of time.
There's a statute of limitations to where you're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I did not know that. So you went to college for political science, and then you became a teacher. What were you teaching?
Spanish
in Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like?
That was I was at like a Title I. I think that's what it's. I can't remember. Basically, it's like a low income school, meaning that like it 100% qualified. Every student qualified for free and reduced lunch there. So it just meant that it's like really low income, very low test scores. It was pretty much the roughest school in the school district, or at least one of the worst ones there. And so by like, traditional metrics, and so like candidly, it was really hard because I was like 21 teaching like 18 to 19-year-olds sometimes.
Jesus, yeah. You're barely older than them.
Yeah, like I remember I was like teaching 8th grade to senior level, or seniors in high school, but some of them I think there was even a kid that was like almost 20. He was like a year younger than me.
Super senior.
not my students, but just the fact that I was in a building being like paid to be there, whereas there's this kid that's a year younger than me who's forced to be there. But yeah, it was just like really hard. I didn't know what I was doing. The kids were actually really nice, but most of them were really nice. There was always just like every class, if there was like 25 to 30 kids, there was always like that 1 or 2 kids that were like kind of troublemakers and made your life really difficult. But I think overall it wasn't as I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as I'm making it out to be. I just remember being like tired and stressed all the time.
I mean, having worked as a substitute teacher here in New York, like working in school, it's a stressful environment and it's tiring. It's a draining day. I also, when I started subbing, I was, I think I was 24. Yeah. And so even then I remember sometimes working at high schools and some of the other teachers like being like, "Are you a student here?" So I'm guessing you might have had that too.
Yeah. Especially then. I'm 31 now.
And you definitely, I think you're 31 and you look like you're like 25.
Yeah. No, I see a lot of comics here. Every time they're like, "I'm 24," and I'm like, Jesus Christ. There are some people in the scene that look terrible, and like, I'm not gonna name names because I don't really remember their names, but like I do make a mental note of like, oh my gosh, you should get your life in order. I mean, that's really mean. I'm sorry, but
I think some of them might have been guests on this podcast.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, hey, you know what? Comedy is not a healthy lifestyle, and it's weird because I don't think I've necessarily led a healthy lifestyle until very recently. But I think also I'm Asian, so that helps a bit. That helps a lot.
In terms of what?
Looking young.
Like Asian don't crack.
Asian don't raisin type of thing?
Is that a thing? Asian don't raisin?
I guess.
Did you come up with that? Or
No.
Is that a thing?
No.
Oh, okay. I like that. Asian don't raisin. That's pretty good. So because I've only known you as somebody with a healthy lifestyle. Let me hear about when you did. Because as I know you now, like you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't drink caffeine. It seems like you exercise and eat pretty healthy.
Yeah.
So what was it like? What was unhealthy Alex like?
He was, I don't know, when I think about straight out of college, I was not eating well, and I was probably sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night, which now I get like at least 7 to 8 every night. That's one. And then just working a bunch, kind of like over stress because I was like, doing my job. And then, I was in grad school at the same time as teaching. So that really and I was doing like a double master's, and then I was working part-time at a Cuban restaurant. So when I say unhealthy, I guess it's just like burning myself out and like doing a lot of stuff simultaneously while also not eating well and not sleeping well.
So you weren't like partying, and you were never did you ever drink?
I drank in college, and I drank a little bit post-college as well. But then I think at some point I didn't like make this active decision to stop drinking. I just stopped drinking. Like the only times I drank in New York or when I like went out on dates. And so, yeah, that's it. But
and drugs, never?
Just like I've done a handful of drugs like once. I've done coke once, and then I've also like done microdose shrooms here and there when I lived with an ex who was really into drugs. Like, she was really into drugs and I wasn't. So but then weed, I barely ever, I've taken a few weed gummies here and there.
Yeah, but never smoked.
Yeah, I've never bought weed myself.
So what do you think that is that has made you stay away from that?
I don't know. I just never really had an interest in it. I guess I don't really like being too altered, because I remember being in college and getting really drunk, and then I never really liked the feeling of it. It was just like the thing I did, or it just felt like the thing I had to do. And then, because I can think of like a handful of times where I've been like drunk since graduating college. But yeah, I don't know. It just never really interested me. And especially now after I've seen I've dated someone who had a really bad drug problem, it's only made me even more I don't want any part of that, So yeah, I've just seen it, no hate on anyone who likes it, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, you feel like it's like maybe a control thing? Liking to be in control?
Yeah, although I will say the one time I did coke, I really liked it. It was actually really, really cool. Like, I'd never felt that before, and I can see why people really like that type of stuff, but it is like a control thing as well, where I'm in my heart, I know I can't be like this all the time. Yeah. I can't be chasing this all the time,
Well, I also feel like that's one of those drugs where it's not necessarily like you feel like you're losing control of yourself. With like weed and alcohol, where it's like you really might be losing control of like your inhibitions. That's interesting. But yeah, so it sounds like, so when you say that you were unhealthy, it was sort of like maybe being like a bit of a workaholic.
Imbalanced in that way, yeah. I think eating, and mostly just like eating and not sleeping well and not exercising. I was not exercising at all from like ages 21 to like 27 or something like that. I just kind of like did whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And maybe here and there I would try to get into something, but it would never stick or last. Whereas now I have a pretty good like health regimen, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, so and the workaholic aspect of it, because especially I've only known you, I think we only met for the first time like a few months ago, pretty recently, and I've known you as somebody who, at least in your stand-up, I can tell that you work very hard while also having, a real day job that you have to like work hard at. Although I guess not that hard if you're here during the work day.
Well, hey.
But just kidding. If your boss is listening, this is totally he's totally not on the clock. Could you imagine if your boss listened?
Nah, let's just say it's 4:30 right now. Yeah. I needed to leave a little bit early. That's okay. You know what? So here's the thing. Sometimes I will take off a little bit early, but you know what I do? I work I'll get home from the open mics at like 10 or 11, and I'll do work sometimes from like 10 to midnight before I go to sleep. So that's like crazy. I do make up for it in some ways. It's just, that's like the plus side of being remote.
Yeah, is it like an Asian thing, the workaholic? Like not to be racist.
That's totally racist, dude. That's racist as hell. But I mean, my sister doesn't work like that, I don't think, or like, I don't know. I actually think my dad's pretty lazy.
That's interesting.
I work hard on the things I want to work on.
But you didn't, that wasn't something that like was instilled in you by your parents at all?
No. I mean, like getting good grades and going to a good college were like the most important things, so that I like getting good grades, going to a good college so I can get a good job were like the most important things, but like they didn't press me to do like homework all the time. Like, they kind of just trusted me to get the job done. And strangely enough, I did it just because I saw how important it was. So yeah.
And you're the oldest in your family, so did you feel like the golden child kind of growing up?
I guess there's a lot of pressure. I'm also the only guy on like my dad's side. All my cousins on my dad's side are girls. And so I definitely think that was like a little bit more of a magnifying glass on me.
So they have like you must carry on the family name.
Yeah, I don't care now.
Yeah.
I don't care now, but I remember thinking that, like, oh, I can't be a failure.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing I tell myself all the time is I can't be a failure or a fuck up,
Interesting. Do you ever feel like you are?
In stand-up maybe, but in like work and all that, no. I have a pretty I know what I'm doing, I think, in regards to like maintaining a professional career. Whether or not I like it is a whole other thing.
Sure.
But like I think I know what it takes to like keep being in the corporate world, and so that I can keep having a stable paycheck as long as AI hasn't completely destroyed my work.
Yeah.
But that's a different conversation.
We can't. There's like too much of a conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I work. My thing is, my job isn't that stressful, and so I think I'm a success in that sense, where it's like I think I've achieved a pretty good work-life balance, or like I don't let work stress me out, especially because my first work post-college job was teaching, and that was like the hardest thing I've ever done. And so like nothing has come even close to how I felt on a day-to-day basis as I did when I was a full-time teacher. And so if I've set the bar like that, then yeah, I've found a pretty good thing for myself. I make more money than I did then. And so yeah, I think I'm pretty good with that.
So okay, let's get back to stand-up. So now that we have a little bit more knowledge of who you are, so you started doing stand-up, you're like 23, living in Boston, and did you have hobbies before that? Like, were you doing any kind of art in
No.
So it was just all school.
It was school. I hosted trivia. That's about it. And yeah, I did, when I was in high school, I did speech and debate. So I think that's kind of like the nexus for why I feel okay with public speaking, and teaching helped as well. But like speech and debate was probably the one thing I did in high school that I really liked. That probably lends itself to, me liking doing stand up now.
I mean, if you can speak to low income high school students, you can get through to a drunk audience at a bar show.
Yeah, I still get nervous when I perform, but it's nervous for a different reason. I'm not even worried about I don't even think, are they going to listen to me? That never crosses my mind. So
what's the nerves?
The nerve is do I like what I'm talking about? I don't know what I'm like. I don't know what I like. I don't know if I like what I'm talking about right now on stage. And so, yeah, then it just makes it harder for me to actually, I think people can, when I'm off, I can sense when I'm off, and I think everyone can sense when I'm off, where I'm like, oh, he doesn't like what he's talking about right now, or he doesn't like what he's doing, or he doesn't believe in what he's doing. And so that's probably my biggest hurdle with stand-up. It's just I'll write something new and I just won't deliver it in the way I want it to. You know? And it used to be the opposite for me. It used to be that he's got something new, I got something new, I'm excited about this, so I'm going to deliver it in a way that I'm excited about. But that hasn't happened to me in some time. So yeah, maybe I just haven't written anything that I like yet.
Interesting, because I feel like every time I see you, you have something new and interesting to say.
Yeah, it's like a feeling though. I feel like a lot of the things I feel like I say right now are incomplete, or they're just not great, I think.
Right. It's I had this was something when I was in college and I started doing stand-up. I had this thought of basically the order and structuring of a joke, where you start with a premise. So you start with the idea of what the joke is, and then you get to a joke, which can just be a one line or just one funny thing.
Yeah.
And then once you add on to that, then you have a bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, and so I feel like a lot of times for me, honestly, I feel like a lot of times things die as a premise or a joke, and they don't get to fully become a bit.
Yeah.
And you see that, and a lot of times, at open mics, I'm not going up with a full bit because I write a lot from stage, and so I'll go up with something that is more of just a premise and then flesh that out on stage. And then sometimes it goes nowhere. Sometimes it just dies that time.
You see, I wish I did that more. Like I sometimes will where like I'll have, here's how I write. It's like if I have I'll have a bunch of like small jokes, and for it to become a bit, like I first need to I need to figure out what the first laugh is. I need to figure out what's so funny about this, and then I can build on it then. But that takes me such a long time, and I'm so jealous of the guys who can like go up with like a basically a fully formed bit. It's not like done in that it's like it's not tight yet, but like they'll go up and do like 3 minutes on this one topic and explore every angle, and I just can't write that way. And
the times that I've tried to, I find that it's very overwritten. Like anytime I try to do that, it's overwritten, and I'm actually getting the laugh lines wrong.
Yeah.
And I think also maybe my particular like style of stand up is much more like I don't have much of a persona. Like it kind of is me on stage, and so it functions better when it doesn't feel overwritten and it kind of feels like I'm just talking. But so how did you? So you started doing stand up in Boston. You did that. You took a class. You did an open mic, and were you like, all right, I'm gonna do this now?
Oh yeah, I went hard. Like once I got into it, I was like out every night. Doubling up. I arguably did more stand-up in Boston than I did here, like right now. And I do a fair amount right now. But Boston, when I started, had like a lot of open mics and really good ones too. Open mics that I would just kill to have again.
Yeah.
Because like every night you can go to an open mic and there were like 40 people at least at every one of them and listening, and you can really build an act and get some really quality stage time when I started. Whereas now, I don't think the open mic scene there is as strong. The show scene is really good. There's a lot of really great shows there now that I'm lucky to be able to like go to and check out when I go back. But yeah, like when I started though, I was out pretty much from like 5 to like 11 or midnight every night, which was not healthy.
Sure, but that's also, that's the kind of thing that I think that's the kind of thing you're supposed to do when you're 23. Because that was like when I moved here, and I was 23. That's what I was doing. That was only for like 6 months because then COVID happened. But it was a similar thing. And who was in Boston? Like, let's get to the name dropping segment. Anybody that's here now?
Oh, that's here now?
Yeah.
I met Joe Polana very briefly when he was there. Joe Polana, like guys that Tyler Durniak, he was there.
Yeah.
I don't know him that well, but I know that he is a Boston guy. Andrew Durso was a
I'm
name.
from Boston.
Yeah. If you couldn't tell from his voice and his clothes that he wears.
But all funny guys.
Yeah. Plenty of other people as well. At least when I was there that have moved here. Zach Brazow. I don't know if you've met him.
Yeah, I know Zach.
Yeah, but those are the people that immediately come to mind. And then there's just been a lot of, Boston people that I've met since then that started after me. Like Beanie, she's from Boston. She's very funny.
I didn't know she was from Boston.
Yeah. I know she and I did not overlap, but like.
Right, she's a bit younger.
Yeah, Angela Sawyer, she's another one. She's great. Yeah, she's Tyler's roommate. And so they just came. But
Tyler just moved here pretty recently.
Yeah, like probably a couple months before I had moved back here, so.
Okay, so you're in Boston, and how long are you doing stand-up there?
I did it for 2 years.
2 years, and then you were like, now I'm moving to New York?
Mm-hmm.
Was it purely for stand-up, or you got a job out here?
100% for stand-up.
Okay.
I didn't have a job here. I moved here without a job, and was lucky enough to find one in like 2 weeks. And it's basically been the job in the industry I've stayed in since then. So
same job?
Same title, not the same company, but the same type of job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like the first job that took me, and it was the most money that I had made at that point, and so I was like, I'm gonna do this. I can live off of this and go from there. So yeah.
And then so then you moved here 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So around the same time as me, and then did you stay here during COVID?
I stayed here the entire time.
And then but you stopped doing stand up for a little bit.
I stopped for 3 years. So
when did you stop? COVID?
Yeah, March 2020 until like basically all October 2023.
What made you take so long to get back to it?
Well, here's the thing. I remember getting vaccinated here in April of 2021.
And then once you got that microchip,
Yeah,
and
I was like,
you're like, I can't write jokes.
No more stand up anymore. What was it? No, I actually got vaccinated and I went to an open mic. I distinctly remember going to one open mic and then I hosted a show for a guy and I just felt so like I just did not like it. Whereas and like I did fine at the open mic and then I bombed hosting the show. And whereas before, if I did fine or I bombed, I would just be like, oh, I got to go do that again. And it didn't matter. But then when this happened in 2021, after the show, I was just like, I hated that. I didn't enjoy that at all. I don't want to do this right now. And so I think I just effectively decided to quit right then and there. And so it wasn't like a long-term break. It was like, I'm quitting this because I don't enjoy this anymore. And so I pivoted. I started rock climbing.
Really?
As a result. Yeah, rock climbing. I doubled down on rock climbing. For like at least 2 years.
And would you say you got as into that as you were into stand-up?
Yeah, I was out rock climbing at least 4 or 5 times a week, which is, again, unhealthy in its own right. It's really bad for your body to climb that much, but like, and I was climbing for like 2-3 hour sessions at a time and just like going 2 days in a row. Again, really hard on the body, but I don't know. I just like wanted to do something, just didn't want to be home. You just spent like several months in lockdown and just I felt like shit, because I was eating like shit. And so rock climbing was really kind of the thing that pulled me out of like, my unhealthiness. Is like the first step I took to like living a healthier life, even though I just said it was unhealthy to climb that much, but it's still better than
no exercise at all, I suppose. Yeah.
But I think it's just like, I think I saw stand up, like if I returned to stand up, it would have been like a return or more of like a continuation of living this unhealthy lifestyle that I didn't think was sustainable. And I just felt like made me feel bad. And so, yeah.
And what made you come back to it?
Yeah. What's funny? I was in Brazil for a couple of months in mid 2023 and I went to go do an open mic in Portuguese.
Do you speak Portuguese?
I speak Portuguese. Yeah. And so I did the open mic in Portuguese, and I absolutely ate it, except for one quick joke that did well. And then I was like, oh, that felt pretty good, actually. And so that was at that point, I was going through a breakup, towards the tail end of it had been a couple of months. A good friend of mine had just passed away. And so I was just like, I was feeling a lot of like anger and a lot of like angst and so as well. And so doing the open mic, traveling, and then coming back here, and like I came back to Boston, and I got put on a bunch of shows because I still have friends there, even though I hadn't done it like technically really in like 3 years. Yeah. But I brushed off some old material, did some new bits, and like I distinctly remember I had like the best, like I don't say this like often, but I did a show and I had the best set.
Yeah, after not doing it for 3 years. I haven't done
it for 3 years, and I'm like, okay, all right, maybe I can still do something with this. And I remember doing another set and being like, someone asked me, oh, I thought you quit or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I hadn't. This was like my first set back, and like one of my first sets back in 3 years. And
it's like Jordan coming out of his baseball period.
Yeah, can there be like can there be like another player that isn't Michael Jordan? Yeah. It was just like, I don't know, someone being like, whoa, like it's like, you haven't really lost a step. And maybe they're just being nice, but like, yeah, it felt good to like do it again and to like have a good set and, make people laugh. And so, yeah, I started up again in October 2023. But I didn't want to start over in New York, because I found that to be intimidating. And I also wasn't ready to move back to New York given my life circumstances. And so that's why I moved to Chicago, because I always told myself if I could pick my comedy career, I would have wanted to have started in Chicago. And so I did that. I started over in Chicago and have been doing it ever since then.
And so you were in Chicago for like a year and then came back here. When did you come back here?
November of 2024.
Okay. So in Chicago, who was there any of the New York guys that were there at that time?
The guys that are in New York now?
Yeah.
There's like a whole crew of them that moved over. I don't know if you've met him, like Adam Mitrani. He was my room.
Yeah. John Dunn.
Yeah, John Dunn, Jeff Braun. Those guys are all guys I know from Chicago. And then they all knew guys previously from Chicago that I've met as well, that I've moved here. They're all really, they're all really funny, really like kind of alty guys, but really funny guys.
So did you feel like you kind of like regained confidence in yourself during that time in Chicago?
A little bit. It kind of ebbed and flowed, because the thing is, Chicago scene is very interesting in that I thought the best comedians in Chicago were all really like alty people, but I was never myself like an alty person. I was never like weird or out there like some of these guys are. And Boston is very much not that.
Yeah,
like,
very different.
The alt scene is like a very small but vocal minority in Boston, but like it's not like, I wouldn't qualify it as weird at all. It's very traditional stand-up, which is good in its own right. But once I got to like Chicago and saw like this different style, because I was here in New York, and I guess I didn't expose myself enough to this style, but like Chicago, it just felt so distinct.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of like inspiring in a sense, or just like it made me challenge like myself to think, oh, these guys are being funny in a different way, like what can I do to take steps to like go, to be like that? Because I wanted to be like that in a sense, not do what they did, but like, sometimes I just think like, oh, I'm just getting up and just doing regular stand up. And sometimes I feel like that's so lame when I do it, so how can I make this more fun or different for myself, because I think that's the thing in Chicago. When I was doing it again, I like was rediscovering the love of stand up. But then at some point, I just felt like I was so boring. I just felt like I wouldn't want to listen to myself right now. So how can I change that,
So what made you move back to New York then? You just felt like, okay, I did my time in Chicago, I'm ready to go back to New York?
The plan was to always come back to New York.
Okay.
Albeit I thought I was going to take like another year or so.
Yeah.
But I think after a year in Chicago, which I liked doing stand-up there, I think just living there in the city of Chicago wasn't my favorite. And so, I don't know, I just felt a little bit like starved there at times, just because I'm like, if you can't tell by now, I think I'm a very fidgety, likes to do a lot of things at the same time type of person. And Chicago, it is hard to do that in. It's more spread out, it takes longer to get places. You kind of like, I didn't have a car, and you don't need one, but it does. It's like a big nice to have, especially during the winter time.
I honestly feel like New York is kind of the only city that you don't need a car in. Obviously, there's other walkable cities, like
Boston is walkable.
Boston is walkable. Philly's walkable. Chicago is kind of walkable. San Francisco is kind of walkable, although it's very hilly. But it's like New York is the only city where it's like, it's actually crazy to have a car here.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had a car here before,
Same.
but it's like every other city in the U.S., it's like, you kind of need a car. Like, it's weirder if you don't have a car.
Yeah, it's because we're all just, small space. There's the most people in America live here in terms of it's the most populous city here. We're all on top of each other. It doesn't make much sense. Whereas Chicago is like 3 million people, but it's super spread out. Like, I remember I walked for like an hour, and I maybe through some populous areas, and I maybe saw like 10 people. I see 10 people the moment I step out of my door.
Oh my God,
in
yeah.
Brooklyn, and so, like, yeah, Chicago, it's a good city for like, the personality. If you're like someone who wants like a city, but wants it to be a little bit slower, quieter, cleaner. I mean, cleaner would be nice here, actually.
That's the one thing. Yeah, that's the one thing. Nobody's like, I love how dirty New York is.
Yeah, but it's like I miss the pacing of New York a lot. I miss how overwhelming and overstimulating it was. I think I really thrive or am motivated by that.
I think I feel similarly. I mean, especially I don't know about like where you grew up. I know Portland is more of a city. I don't know, where'd you grow up in Connecticut?
Like a small town.
Outside of Hartford?
Yeah, like an hour. It's called Middletown. It's where Wesleyan University is.
Yeah.
It's not like over.
So yeah, like having, grown up in, sounds like we both grew up in like small suburban areas. Like I think I was so excited to come to like a big city like New York.
Yeah.
And especially like, I think honestly, the only place I've been to that I really felt like had a similarly like fast-paced style was London.
Yeah. Having been there 4 times now in the past year, because my girlfriend lives over there, I find a lot of like the similarities to be pretty striking in terms of like number of people, pace of life. Probably a little bit slower in London.
Sure, I think nowhere really is like New York, but definitely I also think similar in terms of the diversity.
Yeah,
in London and in New York.
Yeah, the vibes are very similar. I will say though, like I haven't been to any big city in Asia. Like I have to imagine like Shanghai, which is a city of 40 million people, probably more fast paced
That's
and
true,
lively
yeah.
than New York.
My dad grew up in Istanbul, which is, I think, 14 million people.
Yeah.
It's definitely, whatever it is, it's more than New York. And I've been there a good amount of times. And I think New York's good. That's where I'm like, all right, not this fast paced.
Yeah. Sao Paulo and Mexico City are both larger, I think, than New York. Sao Paulo being almost double that.
Is it really?
But I think it might include,
it's more spread out.
Yeah, it might include the outside parts, but like, yeah, Sao Paulo is massive. And Mexico City is actually, New York is lively, and I'd say Mexico City is like vibrant.
How many countries have you been to?
Probably like close to 20.
Let's name them.
Oh, no, man. I don't know. I can't remember all of them. Like Canada, Chile, Peru, Colombia, Argentina, Uruguay, I don't know, Ecuador, Costa Rica. Did I say Mexico already?
No.
Mexico, France, Spain, England, Germany. Did I say Brazil?
No.
That's 14. Yeah, something like that. I'm
Wow.
sure I'm forgetting one or two.
Did you say Germany?
I did say Germany.
Then, how many of them have you done stand-up in?
I've done stand-up in England, Brazil, Mexico, France. Yeah, those are the ones.
Okay. So it's interesting that you've traveled so much and you haven't gone to Asia
I know.
at all. What do you have any family still in Vietnam?
Some cousins.
What has been why have you chosen to go to like South America and Europe so much over Asia? I mean, obviously those are closer, but is that the main reason?
Yeah, and also just like finding the time, because if I went to Asia, I would want to go for a while.
You got it, because you can't. I also feel like it's one of those things where it's like you're gonna want to go to multiple places. It's much easier because I know your girlfriend lives in London, and that's the thing where like sometimes you'll go for like 5 days.
Yeah,
London. You can't go to Vietnam for 5 days.
No, it takes like 3 to get there.
Yeah,
and back, and so like. I do want to go, like, I really do, but I don't know. I feel like there's like a spiritual aspect to going to Vietnam, particularly, that like I need to like think more about, because like I don't know, I don't speak the language really. I still have family there, and I think I would want to spend more time, like like months, maybe like a year or two. I'd love to learn the language there and just really immerse myself in it. But yeah, I just haven't found that time,
Yeah.
It's the type of thing I envisioned myself doing much later in my 30s or in my 40s or whatever, if I ever find that time. But like, yeah, it was easier to spend that, it was easy for me to spend 4 or 5 months in Brazil because, I was working then. It's the same time zone as America, like there's no way I would have gone to Brazil without like having something to do like that during the day while still making money so that I can do what I was doing. Whereas Vietnam, I don't know what I would do.
Do you think that there's like, not to get too like psychoanalytical, do you feel like there's like a heaviness to it also? Like maybe just because like obviously like that's where your family's from, but you don't speak the language and like it's not quite as much of a vacation as like going to South America.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't treat it as a vacation at all, which is funny because all I hear from people is like how fun and amazing it is, like as a vacation spot. It's like, why haven't you gone and all that. And honestly, it's like a lot of white women that just love to go to Vietnam.
My mom did go to Vietnam. She loved it.
Like everything I know about Vietnam as like a tourist destination is from all the white women that tell me about it.
Oh, that's funny. Have you talked about that?
No.
You should write that down. That's very funny.
Well, it's funny because I'm gonna out myself. I have a bit about how I actually say I did go to Vietnam. It's immediately a lie, but it's like an emotional truth that I do feel about if I did go. So I can't do.
I think you can do it. You can still do that bit, and then you can be like, "I lied. I've never been. Everything I know about Vietnam is from white women." Like that's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's a very specific joke.
What is the joke? I don't think I've heard you do it.
Oh, it was just about how what do I say? I'm Vietnamese. I went to Vietnam for the first time in my life, and growing up, racist people would always used to tell me to like go back to where I came from. And so I finally did that, and it was actually pretty cool. Like I had a really good time, and I should have listened to those racists sooner, man, because I think they're right. I do belong there, all right? So, and then I like build on it, and then it cultivates Yeah, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't think they were being racist. I think they were just trying to help me out, you know? And like, I don't know. It's and then I say, what do I say? I'm like, oh, I had a good time in Vietnam because I was going up to white dudes telling them to go back to where they came from. And so it's kind of gone full circle or whatever for me.
I think you could still do that bit and then mention that you've never actually been and everything you know about Vietnam is from white women.
Yeah, I could I could totally do that. I should.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't done that bit in a while. It was doing pretty well here at times, and then other times it would get like very little. It was like one of my more hit or miss bits, I guess. So it didn't have that consistency, but it is something I genuinely feel, so I will do it. But I think you kind of, I don't know what crowd likes it. I haven't figured out that part yet.
And all the traveling you've done, that's been like on your own? Like none of that was like with your family?
Oh yeah, I've never traveled like that with my family.
Yeah. So what made you want to travel so much? It just like you studied abroad in college. Was that the first time?
Yeah. I went to Spain when I was a rising sophomore, summer after freshman year, and I really loved that experience. I thought it was really formative, and so it's what made me want to go to Chile, study abroad for a whole semester my junior year. And then the following summer, I went to Costa Rica to do like some sort of like program through my college that I got fully funded, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And so I lived in like this indigenous village in Costa Rica, in like the jungles. It was literally in the jungle. I had to like take a bus through the mountains to get there.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there for like 2.5 months, just like living in this little like indigenous jungle community, teaching English and just like helping out in the community or whatever. It felt a little bit like volunteerism is like kind of like the big thing that's like, I didn't really know about it then. And I think now that I think about it, I'm just like, well, it was through a partnership with the government. So I felt a little bit better. Whereas like some people would just pay for these like really expensive trips to go and dig a hole and for a week
to take a photo with some homeless kids there.
Yeah. So,
I mean, here's the thing about that stuff is though, is better than doing nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Like you were saying with the rock climbing where you're like, even if you're overdoing it, that's healthier than not exercising.
Yeah.
I'd say like, even if it is like volunteerism, like it's better than kind of just sitting back and doing, I think.
I don't know. It's like,
it depends.
I lived with a host family. I've lived with a lot of host families actually, but this was like a really cool host. They were really cool, very welcoming, and I learned a lot. And you know, there are exchange programs that are like pretty much serve the same thing, but I don't know if anyone in the U.S. was receiving somebody from Costa Rica. But yeah, just being there, being a guest, and just like, you know, just kind of, I wasn't like coming in and telling them how to live their lives. I was just kind of like being an observer and just like hanging out mostly and just like trying to improve my Spanish and learn. So yeah. At the end, there's like volunteerism, and maybe I'm just doing a bunch of mental gymnastics to convince myself I didn't do that. But like when I do think about what volunteerism actually entails, I don't know if there's like that much overlap, but it's like, you know, it can feel like that, you know, like if you're only going for 2.5 months, it does feel kind of like it does feel somewhat transactional. Whereas if I like lived there for 5 years, then it's like, oh no, I lived there and like ingratiated myself in the community. But I don't know. I was a freaking rising senior. It was like my last summer before my last year of college, you know, so I could only spend 2.5 months there.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you have a favorite place you've traveled to?
I really like Brazil.
Brazil?
Yeah.
Do you think you'd ever live there?
Maybe when I'm old, you know, like if that's okay. But I don't know.
What do you mean if that's okay?
I don't know. Like
if it still exists?
Well, it's just more like a lot of people will go to like, a lot of Americans will go abroad when they're like 60 or something and just buy a property that probably should just go to a Brazilian that can afford to get it. But like, the reason why a lot of Americans do that is because they can't afford to do that here. And so they have to go abroad to afford a cheaper house or whatever. So it's like, it really depends. If there's like a housing shortage in Brazil, I probably wouldn't do it, you know? But if there's like, oh, we've got so many unused houses that, you know, like our people are so flushed with money and there's not there's just so many places that people aren't buying right now, then maybe, yeah, you know.
Well, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. That's
Yeah.
is there a housing shortage? Or I mean, is there not a housing a housing surplus? Is that anywhere?
I don't know. Probably not.
Like I don't
it
think
seems
that's,
to be like
that's
the
not
recurring,
true here. You
it
know,
seems to be the recurring theme everywhere is like housing shortage,
yeah,
rising cost of living, all that is all part of like life here and everywhere I've been.
yeah. Anyway, let's get back to comedy.
Oh yeah. we keep veering off of comedy.
Yeah, no, that's the fun of a podcast though. It's fun to go on tangents, and I mean it's all just about like learning about people. That's the whole reason why I started the podcast. Was just like
okay.
it's really, you know, it's not just to talk about comedy. It's like just anybody that I know where I'm like, how would obviously like we could just hang out and talk for an hour and a half, but there's something about like the interview format of where like it forces me to ask like more questions of you and sort of like deeper questions that like I might not ask in just like a casual setting. Like,
well, I thought you were going to ask me like, why aren't you more famous directly? And I thought it was going to be like a case by case evaluation of why.
We can do that. We can do that. All right, let's do that. Why aren't you more famous?
Why aren't I more famous? Well, I mean, between stopping for 3 years and also not being that good, those are probably two of the biggest reasons why. You know, and also I don't like, those are two reasons. Probably the third thing I could think of is like, I don't really care to post a lot of stuff online. And I think that's made a lot of people's careers. You know, there's no one that's going to make their career made if they don't post it online right now.
It does seem to be that way.
Yeah. Everyone that's taking off is taking off through some social media platform in some way or another. Whereas before, I don't remember. Like, yeah, before you used to have to go through gatekeepers. You used to have to like grind, become a local or favorite at your club, and then JFL will come through once a year, and you would get on a JFL audition, and then maybe from there you would get like a late night set, and then probably you would start like doing clubs around the country and building a following like that. Whereas now you don't have to do that anymore, which is great, but then also means that you should be posting more and getting your voice out there. And let's say even if I did post more, I don't even think my stuff would have like universal appeal like that. And so these are all my own criticisms of myself about whether or not about how and why I'm not famous. Probably the biggest one being that I'm just not good enough to be. I don't think I should be. So
do you think is that something you're striving for though?
That's the other thing I'm evaluating as well. That's probably reason number 4 is that I don't even know if I'm necessarily like, I think if the question is, are you trying to like have a full-time career in stand-up? It's more no than it is yes.
Okay.
Like if I can tell you this, if I could pick my ideal stand-up career, it would actually be Janine Garofalo's career.
Okay.
I love her.
Okay, let's get into that. Tell me more.
She's just like she's like a very beloved figure in the comedy scene. Mm-hmm. She can do whatever show she wants. She does not tour. She just like, she travels sometimes and like does a show or a spot here and there, but she doesn't tour in the same way that like a lot of the big names in comedy right now we know tour. And she's just been in a few movies and shows, and that's enough for her. You know, it's very laid back, very low key, and she's just someone who's funny and good at comedy. And if I could have that, be good and funny, and also have like a low-key career that I could live off of, then amazing, you know?
So you do want your career to be comedy, but you don't necessarily like want to be like a touring stand-up.
No, I've met so many touring comedians or professional comedians, and I don't envy their lifestyle. You know, I think what they're doing is great, but like it's very taxing.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as someone who loves to travel a lot. But when I travel, I take my time.
Sure.
I really enjoy it. I don't spend one night in Charlotte and then have to go to freaking Columbia and then to Chattanooga all in a week. You know, that just sounds incredibly exhausting. And, you know, like I would maybe do that for a year. If I had the opportunity, I would do that for 1 year just to say that I've done it, because that, you know, that is something I've thought about. But you know, I wouldn't want to like do it again unless I had to, unless it was like this big money maker for me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't even think about it because I don't even think it's ever going to happen. So, yeah.
When you started doing stand-up, was that something you thought about?
100%. I wanted to be a full-time professional comedian, whatever that looks like. But now I've like been around for a while, and I've met so many people that either do that or they write for a TV show or they write for something, and that's not very sustainable or like stable either, like.
So do you think it was a thing where your mindset changed because you just met people sort of with the career that you wanted, and you were like, well, they're not happier than I am, so why is that what I'm chasing?
Yeah, it's part of it is the happy thing. It's also like, I see their lifestyle, and it's like, I think I'm coming from like my parents were born here, immigrated here. I was born here. I had to see them struggle financially a lot, and then I just don't want to struggle financially at all.
Yeah.
Like I will do anything and everything I can to avoid that. If my parents were born here and had a better life, basically if I had a safety net, then I would take more of a chance to like, I would take a bigger swing. But now I'm just like, like I remember reading how the Lucas Bros, them, they quit law school.
I think they had like one semester, and they were at
like Columbia.
NY. One of them was at NYU. One of them was at Duke.
Yeah.
And they quit law school with a semester left.
Yeah, more power to them, but I would never ever have done that ever.
And it does seem to have worked out for them.
Yeah, no, it's worked out for them.
Yeah.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I think it can work out for people if they try it, but it's like there's so many people who it doesn't work out for. Like how many times have you seen people flame out or just like, have it not work out for them? It's not an easy lifestyle. I know people who have written for late night that are still looking for work and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah, I mean, because it's not a thing where there's never like a guarantee that it will work out, even at any point. I mean, I guess maybe you get to like the highest level, like the Nate Bargatze level, and it's like you're good.
But there's like 5 to 10 people.
Sure,
that have
exactly,
that,
Like, and then it's like even you look at like the levels below that, where it's like somebody like I don't know, like Mark Maron. It's like. Seems like he still has to do a lot of work to maintain that level of relevance.
Yeah, I will say this: if I ever have kids and I'm settled, then they can do all that. They can take a swing at it. But if you're me, you're not. You're just not gonna do that. Or at least I wouldn't. Not taking swings. That's another one.
Yeah, interesting. So. Let's get into the relationship stuff because I'm interested in that, being in a long distance intercontinental relationship. How do you think that has affected your comedy?
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff I write about has been generally stuff that has happened to me before that I've had some distance between. It's interesting writing about this relationship stuff because I'm still in the middle of it, and like I'm kind of. There's not like any emotional distance. You know what I mean? Whereas I'm like, it's hard for me to write about something about something that's going on for me right now. Because for a while, a lot of my stuff has just been things that have happened in the past, And so, but yeah, I've enjoyed writing about it. I have some jokes that I'm happy about with it. And then, I don't know. I don't know. It's just been it's been hard kind of traveling, back and forth a lot because I go over there a lot. I get to do stand-up over there, which is really fun. I do like doing stand-up in London for the most part. I don't know. What do you want to know?
No, I'm just interested. It just because I've been in shorter distance, long distance relationships, and I know that can be very hard. So I guess I was like, how do you guys make it work?
We call each other every day. Like I call her usually the moment I wake up. Yeah. And I'm like working or just talking with her. We'll watch things together. Funny enough, we're watching this show, the new Lena Dunham show on Netflix
it takes place in London, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an American moves to London and stuff. And we're watching that together right now. But
isn't it a white woman with an Asian boyfriend?
No. Well, actually, yeah, you're right. I forgot that guy. She meets him there.
Yeah, except he's British. She's American.
Yeah, he's half Asian. Yeah. He was in White Lotus. Yeah. We watched that together. We watched White Lotus together. We watched a lot of things together, Squid Games. And then, we usually call each other 2 times a day at least.
2 times a day?
How
long have you guys been together?
Since October.
Since October? So
almost 9-10 months,
close to a year. Yeah. And when you took that break from stand-up, were you in a relationship at that point? Mm-hmm. And do you feel like being in a relationship had anything to do with wanting to take a break from stand-up?
Yeah, in that, well, the break happened first, and then I was dating a lot, and then I met my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I think she would have not been happy if I had gone out every night. If I was living my life right now, while being with her, she would be very unhappy about it.
Was this the one who was really into drugs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did that relationship last?
About a year.
About a year. And then that was you said you got back into, you got back into stand-up after a breakup. That was that breakup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but there was like a 6 months difference between when I literally did a set, I did a set like the week after things ended. And that's where I had the really good set.
See, that post-breakup set's usually pretty good.
Yeah. No, I had a really good set.
There's something about that first set after a breakup.
You're very present, you know?
Yeah.
I think you're very in touch with yourself. And I think, you know, like you and I, we do the mics a good amount and we kind of get into like a rhythm. Sometimes a good one, other times a not so good one where you're like, you don't even feel, sometimes I do the mics and I don't even feel present. And I'm like, that's why if I'm nervous before going up, that's how I know it's going to be a good set.
Right. I think there's something to, you don't want to not feel any nerves because what you're doing is nerve wracking.
Yeah.
Like it's a thing many people are afraid of doing and you shouldn't become so desensitized to that.
Yeah, you have to create stakes for yourself because there's not always going to be stakes. Most of the 99% of the times, there's no stakes, you know?
Yeah.
But then, like when I go up to when I travel out, I'm always nervous. Like when I go back to Chicago or I go back to Boston, even at the mics or mics and shows, I'm nervous for every one of those sets.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like I'm always able to be reasonably productive. When I do travel, for comedy.
There's something about that post breakup set though, because I noticed this. You know, we both go to a lot of open mics, and you know, comics go through breakups all the time, and you see it a lot. And I think that there's something about it's kind of like a week after the break, because you'll see it sometimes when somebody will do a set like the day after, and you're like, this is a little too soon. But like when it's like a week after, where you're like
some clarity,
a little bit of clarity, but also still in that frame of like.
Fresh.
This is pretty fresh, and also you are like at a point where like, well, I have nothing to lose. What, I'm gonna bomb? Like I just got my heart broken. Like you know, or I just broke somebody's heart. Like you know, you have nothing to lose in a way where I think you'll do very well. Like it just seems like pretty typically you see a pretty good set. It's the one consolation. So you got into stand-up. We're going back to Boston. So you didn't watch stand-up as a kid or anything? Did you start watching it a lot once you started doing it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And who were you watching?
Literally Nate Bargatze was one of the first stand-ups. Because at that time, the stand-ups would just come out on Netflix. And that set he had, the 30 minutes, was like probably the first stand-up set. I was like, this is funny.
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly like, if I could be funny like this, in my own way, I would love to like do that. But like the thing is, Bargatze is so different as a person to like who I am. You know? It's like I think I was pretty, when I first started, I was pretty like low energy, almost like deadpan and dry, and that's just not who I am. Like that's not who I necessarily like being on stage. And so,
that's also I think that's not really who you are off stage either.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes I feel like I am, but in reality I'm not. I think I'm a very like when I'm into it, I'm pretty energetic, but like, I don't know. I just had to like kind of suppress myself because that's what worked on stage at the time. And I was like, all right.
That's what worked for you, or that's what you saw working for other people?
That's what I saw working for other people.
Okay.
And I let that be like, that. I let myself be okay with that because I didn't know any better. I was only like a year or two in, and it was like, I just want to get laughs, and I didn't care how, you know, obviously I cared to an extent. I didn't want to be like a total hack.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't care if it meant like, oh, I'm not necessarily talking the way I would normally talk, but you know, that's not how I feel now, you know, but then I just cared about doing well on stage and not bombing.
When did you feel like you started to find your voice?
I think I'm still kind of in the middle of it because like I said, when I moved to Chicago, I was still kind of doing a continuation of what I was doing in Boston and when I moved here to New York. And then I think I went to clown school earlier this year.
This year? Here in New York?
No.
In Chicago?
No, in Paris.
In Paris?
Yeah. In January of 2025, I went to clown school for 2 weeks. And even up until that point, I think I was starting to experiment a little bit more with like being faster or more energetic. And so between already making like the conscientious decision to be more of like myself on stage, and then clown school as well, helping me kind of like, play around with physicality and energy and all that. I think ever since then, I've kind of like moved closer to where I want to be. But here's the thing. I feel like I'm stuck right now because I know what I want to be, but I keep writing sometimes in like my old voice, and I need to like figure out how to like take these bits and make them into what I'm doing now, So yeah, I'm still figuring it out.
What do you feel like is the biggest change that you noticed out of clown school? Do you feel like it was gaining more of a presence?
Yeah, because clowning really forces you to like engage and be present with the audience. And not that I think I'm doing that per se, but it's just more like I don't know, it just emboldened me to feel more comfortable taking risks and just being. I think I'm finding a way to be present. It's hard to explain. I think so. I went to Boston a few weeks ago, and I had a set at my home club, the Comedy Studio, and my friend Mike was there, and he said that was like probably the best set he's ever seen me have, and he's seen me like 10 times, and it was just all about energy and momentum and just like just being able to like get line after like punch after punch. Like I watch that set sometimes. Ever since then, just to remind myself, like, this is how I sound. This is like my optimal, like, who I am, but the thing is, it can be really hard to recreate that if you're not in the mood, especially at these mics, where I'm like, I think I just kind of want to work on, I just want the material. I want to find out the material is good, but sometimes you need to like deliver it in your way for people to engage with it. Because like if you're just talking, like we all, about Chris Rock, he does that where he's like, I come up, but he's fucking Chris Rock.
But and that's also, he does that after, 20, 30 years, however long. Yeah. He does that after he has an established voice that he has figured out. And so much where at Mike's, we're in this process of not just figuring out our material, but we're still figuring out our voices like that. And that's part of what going to an open mic is for. Yeah.
But that does essentially feel like what I'm doing, which is that like I'll go up and I'll just say the material, and maybe I won't deliver it best, but I have seen where like I can still get laughs from things that I think are good, and then I can punch it up at an actual show or something. Because I feel like when I'm at a show versus Mike, I feel like I'm just two different comics.
Yeah.
And when I first moved, funny enough though, when I first moved here, I was more like, I was way more energetic because nobody knew who I was. And so I was able to be a little bit more fun and goofy.
It's like a fresh start.
Yeah. And so I really leaned into that. Goofy is the word I like. That's something I really want to be right now. It's just silly or goofy in my own way while still being authentic to myself, because nothing I've written has been like fake or whatever. Like some of these guys I know from Chicago, a lot of their jokes are like, they're not real premises.
Well, except for the thing about you going to Vietnam.
Yeah, that's true. But that's emotionally true. That's actually legitimately the only thing I've written that is not true or that hasn't happened. Legitimately. But like a lot of these guys are just writing like really fun, like they're just taking like premises and
just being silly with it.
They're being silly. They're being very creative, and I wish I could do that, but everything I've written has to be somewhat tangentially true.
I feel so bad lying on stage, even if it's a small lie.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I've had to you really have to get over, I've had to really get over that. Just because, the truth isn't always funny.
Yeah. Or sometimes it's just like, if I say it if I change this detail of it, it is funnier.
Yeah. Yeah. But in any case, I think when I first moved back here back in November, I was way more spirited, way more energetic. I've hosted a mic here and there, and I've been able to bring it out. But when I go to when I do it, I do bring out the energy when I am last at a mic.
Yeah,
which you've seen.
Do.
I think
I've seen it a few times. Yeah.
My vibe when I go up first, I do not. I should do that. But the thing is, I feel ridiculous doing that.
It's like what we were saying with the breakup thing, where it's like you have going last at a mic you have nothing to lose.
I know.
Because there's a pretty good chance you're gonna bomb.
Yeah.
Just because like most people have left, people are tired from watching a lot of stand up, and then it's like there's something freeing.
Yeah.
We're going first in a mic. Sometimes it's. I try to, like, if it's a list instead of like a bucket, I will put my name just whatever the first spot available is, even if it's number one, just because it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I get out of there sooner, you know. But going last at a mic, it's you're probably gonna bomb. So there's something freeing about that. That it's like any laugh I get is earned.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely feel like I can be looser and just like closer to who I am, and who I am at last on a mic, I bring with me to shows, and it's translated well for me. But like, I need to bring that version of myself to but like when I go to a mic, I want to go towards the end because I'm thinking about stuff. I'm not ready to go up in the first group. I'm never ready to go first, and I think it really shows. The only time it didn't, it was like I went to Chicago recently. I went to like a very well attended mic, and I already knew what I was gonna do because this was stuff that I was gonna do on shows. I went first, and I had an amazing set. It was like I was like, fuck.
But that's also, I think coming from New York, whenever you go somewhere else. There is something about like, you know, New York, there's just so much comedy here. The threshold is so high that you go to any other scene and you're already like just a step better than you would be here.
Yeah. No, I mean...
So, well, okay, we gotta get out of here soon, but I'm interested in the clown school thing because I didn't know that. What inspires you to go there?
I went to Edinburgh in 2024 and I saw a bunch of clowning shows.
And you were like, I gotta try this.
I gotta get a piece of this because it was literally.
Did you see Zach Zucker?
I did not see Zach Zucker. I want to see Zach Zucker. I've seen his Don't Tell set, and it's like, you know, it's funny.
I hate to be the bad news bear. Rar.
Huh?
I hate to be the bad news bear. Rar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, he's just like, he's so fluid. Yeah, I really want to see Stamptown, but I saw other clowning shows, and clowning is legit like the most I've ever laughed. Yeah. You know? And so just like, it really made me like, clowning is what made me want to be goofier on stage. Yeah. And so, yeah, like I saw a bunch of clowning shows. I asked people like, where do you do this? And they're like, well, there's a school in France. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go there. And I was at a time in my life where I did have the time to do that. I was like contracting because I got laid off. So I was still working, but it was part-time. So I could go spend like 2 weeks in like a town an hour south of France and do that. Yeah. And so it was really just like, it was really pivotal for me. But it was really hard. It was like, I don't know if you've done a clowning class yet.
I have not. It's something that I want to do. Because I also think, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, you know, taking the clowning class really helped with your stand-up. Because I noticed that when I started taking acting classes, I guess it was either last year or 2 years ago, and I noticed kind of an immediate improvement in my stand-up. Just, I think there's something about trying a new art form that is related. I've heard like athletes will say this with like picking up a sport in the off season. Yeah. It'll just like, it'll improve some things you don't even realize. Yeah, I've heard that too. Like, not ballet, but you know. But I think some will do ballet or like cycling or boxing, you know, swimming, like a lot of different. It's all this. I'm like not figuring out the way to articulate it, but it's like different ways to use the same muscles. I think is what it is. Yeah, a lot of climbers will get into like yoga. Yeah, and vice versa, because I think they both really complement each other well. And so, you know, footwork and all that stuff as well. Boxers will get into dancing or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Clowning was a lot of fun. It was a 2-week program. I was every day from like 10 to 3 p.m. You know, we did movement class, and then we did like clowning exercises. The teacher was like very Whiplash-esque in that he was really mean. But in like actually, I was going to say in a playful way, but not really. He was actually like mean. He made people feel really bad. I've heard there's a clowning teacher in New York like that. All I've ever heard from clowning here is how nice everybody is. I'm forgetting this teacher's name, but there's one particular clowning teacher that I've heard of that like is like insane, like Whiplash, like that kind of level. Yeah, and there's a reason. I read, interestingly, the reason why that is even a methodology in clowning, or just like in clowning specifically, is because
clowns used to just be like really rich dudes.
Yeah.
And so you needed to be mean to them to kind of take them down a peg.
Yeah.
But now clowning is filled with like everybody. And so it's like, do you still need to be mean to them to take them down a peg? Probably not, but it's just like a methodology people have said, this works, so we're going to keep doing it.
Right.
And I can see how and why it does, but I can also see how and why it can like cripple someone emotionally, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, should we be doing that just so we can, should we be crippling someone emotionally, like 5 people emotionally, just so we can create one Sacha Baron Cohen? I don't know.
But I don't know. But it's like, but it also is one of those things where it's like, if that's what it takes to create Sacha Baron Cohen, like,
but maybe Sacha Baron Cohen always could have been that.
And then that's the other thing is like,
so you don't know.
Would Sacha Baron Cohen actually be even better?
Yeah.
If instead of like destroying everyone, you lifted people up.
Yeah.
It's a real question that, you know, we don't have the answer to.
Yeah. But I don't know. Eventually, I was able to like figure it out for myself because I bombed harder in clowning than I bombed in anything ever. Like I've never had like a stand-up set that like made me feel as bad where I bombed as I did with like clowning. It is because it was every day.
Yeah.
For like legit 7 days in a row, I was bad. Except for like maybe one time. And then on the 8th, 9th, and like the last 2-3 days, I kind of said fuck it, and I just like committed to whatever bit that I was doing or whatever I didn't even think about it. Like I just did.
And it does sound like there's something like to that thing of like you had kind of been broken at that point. You bombed 7 days in a row, and then it's kind of like you've been beaten down so much. You're like, well, I don't give a fuck, and then now you're gonna kill.
Yeah.
Because you just don't care anymore.
Yeah. I hate to say it. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of had like my own aha moment. I thought about it and then I stopped thinking about it because I was bombing a lot because I was overthinking or I was trying to be funny. As weird as that sounds, like whereas I don't know. I would always like he'd be like, oh, he would give us a prompt and then I would spend some time thinking about how am I going to make this funny. I stopped doing that.
Yeah, as soon as you stop trying, that's when it starts working.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
but yeah. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. Which really pissed me off. Because you can't. It's hard to recreate that. I want to recreate.
Oh, I know. And that's the thing with like clowning and improv, where it's all stuff that's in the moment. It's like you can't recreate it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I've noticed that if I'll have like riffs in a stand-up set that really kill, and that's always the stuff that hits the hardest, and it's like I can't recreate that moment, but how can I recreate that feeling?
Yeah.
And then that's what I'm always going for. All right, we got to get out of here. But before we leave, where can the people find you? What do you want to plug?
What do I want to plug? I'm going to Minneapolis end of September. And, oh, wait, I think I'm doing Broadway, an indie show at Broadway August 9th? Yeah, August 9th, Friday, 9 p.m., Broadway Comedy Club.
Yeah, and where can the people find you online?
Alex, TRLA. On Instagram. That's literally where I'm at.
What's the TR?
That's like the first 2 letters of my middle name.
What's your middle name?
Trongsley.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then any comedy or anything that you want to recommend to the listener?
Oh, Mike Vecchione's new special.
Okay.
Yeah, on Nateland Presents or whatever, Nate Bargatze's channel. It's so good. It's like, it's hard for me to laugh at like stand up I watch on YouTube or online, but this is like the first one I've laughed at like just watching from home. Like I laugh at stand up live when you're in person, but like when I'm watching stand up at home on my phone or on my computer, it's like I'm barely even listening, or I am, but I'm not like engaging in a way to like laugh at it. Whereas this was just so undeniably funny that I'm like, this is so good. So yeah, Mike Vecchione.
Mike Vecchione, Alex Law.
Yeah. Oh, oh fuck yeah! I'm gonna eat these chips now. You want some? Yeah. Cool. Can't believe it's free. That's amazing. More people know about this.